Humanity's last hope took the shape of a single starship. It was not the grand fleet people had once imagined. Instead, there was only one vessel, battered, underpowered, and packed with desperate souls clinging to survival. They called it the HFY Horizon, named so because it was meant to search for a new dawn across the galaxy. On a makeshift bridge, Captain Elena Drake stared through a cracked viewing window. Below her stretched the remnants of Earth, burnt landscapes and dark oceans covered in ash. Fires glowed like dying embers, slowly fading into the endless night. Some said it was a miracle the planet had lasted so long. Others believed it was already doomed. The truth did not matter anymore, because the last of humankind now rested on this one ship. Years ago, Earth had been a bustling place of skyscrapers, digital wonders, and interstellar dreams. Then, one day, an event called the Dark Surge changed everything. No one knew exactly what happened at first. Sensors detected an unknown wave of energy. Earth's orbit shifted slightly. Violent earthquakes tore through continents. Volcanoes erupted, and cities crumbled. In a matter of months, the population fell drastically. Governments collapsed. Panic spread faster than anyone could contain it. Amid the chaos, scientists scrambled to understand the phenomenon. They discovered that the Dark Surge came from deep space, a cosmic threat speeding toward the solar system. It carried harmful radiation that would soon wash over Earth. With limited resources and little time, they pooled every bit of technology into building a single long-range ship. The plan was both simple and desperate. Send out a select crew to search for a habitable planet, or at least a place to gather help from alien civilizations. Most people still on Earth never learned the whole truth. They only knew that volunteers were being chosen for something called the one-ship mission. Rumors spread that it was a doomed voyage, that no one would survive the journey. Some claimed it was a government trick. Others believed it was the last chance for any future at all. Now, Captain Drake and her small crew knew the mission's real purpose. They had to travel beyond human-explored space, find refuge, and send help back if they could. If they failed, humanity would vanish from the universe. Still, they hoped for a miracle. As Drake adjusted the controls, the lights on the bridge flickered. Power fluctuations were common on this old ship. Seated nearby was Lieutenant Aaron Flynn, an engineer with a sharp mind and even sharper sarcasm. He tapped furiously on a console, trying to stabilize the power flow. "Captain, we're barely holding it together," Flynn said in a tense voice. "The reactor's output keeps dropping. If we don't fix it soon, we can't keep life support running at full capacity." Drake pressed her lips into a thin line. "Do whatever you have to do. We're not turning back." Flynn nodded and rushed out, leaving the captain alone with her thoughts. She remembered how many had asked why only one ship was built. The official answer was that resources were too scarce after the Dark Surge. Deep inside, Drake suspected there were more secrets: why the design was so rushed, why certain top scientists vanished, and why some powerful figures had insisted on having seats aboard. In the crew quarters, Dr. Layla Morrison tended to a small group of children. They were frightened and homesick. She tried to distract them with stories of a beautiful new planet, one with blue skies and green fields waiting for them. The children listened, their eyes reflecting a mixture of hope and uncertainty. Morrison knew these stories might be nothing but fantasies, yet she also knew that, without hope, morale would crumble. In another part of the ship, Sergeant Tobias Cole and a handful of security personnel carried out drills. They tested rifles and improvised weapons, preparing for the unknown. The mission planners had hinted at possible alien encounters, though no one truly understood what was out there. Cole was determined to protect the ship's passengers, no matter the threat. Late into the second day of their journey, a faint alert sounded across the HFY horizon. Drake snapped out of her weary thoughts and checked the main panel. A blinking light indicated they were detecting an energy signature nearby, something not of human origin. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Was it a friendly signal or a threat? Flynn hurried back to the bridge, panting. "Captain, that signal. It's repeating. I think it might be some kind of beacon. Drake frowned. Could it be a rescue signal? No way to know unless we investigate, Flynn said. Drake glanced at her navigator, Ensign Natalia Reed, who was already punching in the coordinates. Reed swallowed hard and said, Captain, we'll have to leave our planned route. Are you sure we should do that? She understood the risk. Every detour meant more stress on their failing systems. But ignoring the signal could also mean missing the one chance to find help. Captain Drake felt the weight of Earth's entire population pressing on her. This was not a simple choice. After a moment of silence, she nodded firmly. Set a course. We came out here for answers, and we won't find them by running away. Reed entered the new coordinates, and the ship's engines rumbled, straining to change direction. The echo of metal groaning through the corridors reminded everyone just how fragile their vessel was. Yet it pressed on, carrying the last hope of humanity with it. Meanwhile, scattered across Earth's burnt surface, a few holdouts still clung to life, waiting for any news that the HFY Horizon had found safety. They did not know that the ship had already encountered something alien. They only knew that, if the mission failed, they were living on borrowed time. Back on the bridge, Drake stared into the darkness ahead. She felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. Every star, every flicker of cosmic light, could hide a new danger or a new ally. Perhaps there was a planet out there with oxygen-filled skies and endless forests. Maybe a peaceful civilization was ready to share knowledge. Or maybe something far worse than the dark surge lurked in the shadows, waiting to crush humanity's final spark. This was the fall before the rise, an uncertain moment where hope was scarce, resources were few, and the future seemed like an impossible dream. But Diffworlders, humans from a planet that was never gentle, were not known for giving up. Through every setback and every disaster, they had found ways to endure. Now, aboard a single starship, they would have to prove their resilience yet again. The HFY Horizon cruised through the dark void, its engines rattling with every small course correction. Captain Elena Drake stood on the bridge, arms crossed as she watched the flickering beacon signal on the main console. That signal was the only clue of an alien presence they had encountered since leaving Earth. Whether it was friend or foe, no one could say. Still, she could not shake the feeling that this was humanity's one chance to find help, or at least some form of hope. Lieutenant Aaron Flynn hunched over a console at the back of the bridge, scanning for more data. His fingers flew across the keyboard, pausing every so often to tap the side of the screen in frustration. The ship's outdated systems struggled to interpret the alien signal. I've never seen coding like this, Flynn muttered under his breath. It's more like a musical sequence than a standard data stream. He glanced over to Captain Drake, pushing his black hair away from his eyes. Could it be a simple distress call? Drake's gaze stayed on the forward viewport. The darkness of space felt thicker here, almost suffocating. If it's a distress call, we have to see if we can help them. If it's a trap, we need to know before we stumble into it. At the navigation station, Ensign Natalia Reed double-checked the coordinates. She was aware that each jump of the engine strained the ship's fragile power core. Captain, we're close enough to send a drone, she said softly. We can launch one of our small probes to investigate before risking the whole ship. Drake considered the idea, then nodded. Do it. Keep us at a safe distance, and let's see if the drone picks up anything we can use. Reed turned to her controls, releasing a small exploration drone into the vacuum of space. As soon as it left the docking bay, a faint tremor echoed through the ship. Another reminder of the horizon's age and the danger of even minor operations. Below the bridge, in one of the cramped living quarters, Dr. Layla Morrison paced back and forth. She was checking on a group of nervous passengers, many of them families with children. They had heard rumors about the alien signal and wondered if their journey might finally yield salvation. A few of the bolder colonists asked Morrison questions she could not answer. Who sent the signal? Could the aliens save Earth? Would they have enough supplies to share? Morrison kept her voice calm, offering smiles where she could. "Let's wait for the captain's orders," she said reassuringly. "If there's a chance for help, we'll find it. And if it's dangerous, we'll handle it together." The children seemed more hopeful than the adults. They turned the idea of meeting aliens into a grand adventure. Yet Morrison noticed the lines of worry on their parents' faces. She knew many of them were still haunted by the memories of the dark surge and Earth's downfall. Several decks above, Sergeant Tobias Cole and his security team prepared for any outcome. They assembled what little weaponry they had: a few outdated rifles, stun batons, and improvised gear to protect themselves from an alien environment. Cole checked each piece carefully, tension showing in every muscle. Though the one-ship mission had not been designed for warfare, they had to be ready for anything. At last, a chime on the bridge signaled the drone's arrival near the source of the beacon. Captain Drake, Flynn, and Reed gathered around the main console, where a hazy video feed flickered to life. The footage showed an enormous, dark object floating in open space. It looked like a huge station or a derelict starship, with sections that seemed broken or incomplete. Faint lights glimmered along its edges, suggesting some parts might still have power. Flynn zoomed in. "There's a docking bay near the center, but it's not responding to the drone's basic handshake signals. It's almost like it's asleep, except for that beacon." Drake studied the outline of the massive structure. "Could be an abandoned space station," she mused. "Or maybe it's simply in standby mode." Reed tapped her console. "No sign of external weapons. The drone's sensors aren't picking up life signs, but it might be shielded." The captain's eyes narrowed. "What about atmosphere?" Flynn checked a side panel. "Pockets of breathable air in some sections, vacuum in others. Power levels are minimal." Drake stood up straighter, her mind filling with possibilities. "If there's a functional life support system, maybe we can find resources or technology we can salvage." But the risk was obvious. An unknown station could be hiding countless dangers. One wrong step, and they could lose everything. Yet, if they turned away now, they might never discover the truth behind that beacon, and they might miss a vital chance to save Earth. She made the decision. "Prepare a landing team. We'll take a small shuttle to the station and investigate. Lieutenant Flynn, you're with me. Sergeant Cole, have your security detail ready. Ensign Reed, you stay here to monitor our status and coordinate drone support if we need it." Reed's expression flickered with concern, but she offered a respectful nod. "Understood, Captain. I'll keep an eye on everything from here." Word quickly spread throughout the ship. Some passengers gathered in the corridors to watch the shuttle launch through the small viewports. Dr. Morrison offered to join the landing team in case they encountered survivors or needed medical support. Drake agreed, relieved to have a capable doctor by her side. The shuttle, an old model patched together with scraps from Earth's final days, rumbled away from the horizon's docking bay. Cole and two other security officers clutched their rifles. Flynn tapped away on a handheld device, trying to decode the beacon's signal in real time. Morrison sat quietly, her medkit strapped at her feet. Beyond the shuttle window, the alien station grew larger. Dark metal plates formed a ring around its center, and occasional flashes of interior lights hinted at hidden corridors. At the center of the ring, they could see a wide hatch that might have once been a grand entrance. Now, it looked half-sealed, rusted, or damaged by countless years in space. "This is bigger than I expected," Flynn whispered, eyes wide. Cole gripped his rifle. "Let's hope it's not filled with more problems than we can handle." As they neared the docking hatch, they noticed faint markings along the hull, strange symbols and patterns etched into the metal. Morrison's curiosity piqued. "I've never seen an alien language like that," she said quietly. "I wonder who they were." The shuttle lights shone on the hatch, revealing a docking clamp that looked partly operational. Flynn guided the shuttle in carefully, and the magnetic lock engaged with a dull thud. A hiss filled the cabin as air pressure stabilized. For a moment, everyone held their breath, waiting to see if the seal would hold. Drake broke the silence. "All right, let's move. Stay alert, and no one splits off unless we decide together. We still have no idea what we're walking into." The hatch opened with a groan, revealing a corridor lit only by emergency strips that flickered on and off. Dust motes drifted in the thin air, and distant clangs echoed through the emptiness. The beacon's signal pulsed, almost like a heartbeat, deeper within the station. Morrison took in the surroundings. Old machinery, cracked walls, and drifting debris told a story of a place abandoned or lost for a very long time. She wondered if the station's original inhabitants had suffered a disaster like Earth's, or if something far worse had happened. Flynn read data off his handheld device. "The beacon signal is stronger here, Captain. It's definitely coming from somewhere further inside." Cole led the way, rifle raised, scanning every dark corner with a flashlight. "If anyone or anything is still here, we'll find out soon enough," he said grimly. With cautious steps, they'd ventured deeper into the corridor. Each turn revealed more damage: broken metal panels, flickering lights, and an occasional large door sealed tight. The air smelled stale, like it had been cycled for centuries without proper ventilation. Still, they pressed on, drawn by the rhythmic pulse of the signal. Captain Drake's heart raced. She felt both dread and hope, unsure if they might discover advanced technology to save Earth or a threat that could doom the Horizon's crew. But she reminded herself of one truth: humanity could not give up now. They had already lost so much. If there was even a small chance for salvation, they had to risk everything to seize it. The corridor's flickering lights reflected on broken metal plates as Captain Elena Drake, Lieutenant Aaron Flynn, Dr. Layla Morrison, and Sergeant Tobias Cole walked deeper into the silent alien station. The faint beep of the beacon guided them forward, echoing through empty halls like a distant heartbeat. With every step, the tension grew. No one spoke louder than a whisper, as if a louder sound might awaken something best left sleeping. At last, they reached a large sliding door etched with strange symbols. Faded lights swirled in odd patterns across the surface. Flynn tapped a control panel on the wall, eyebrows raised in surprise. "This door still has power," he said quietly, "but it's locked from the inside. I can try overriding it." Cole watched their rear flank, rifle at the ready. "Make it fast," he muttered, scanning the dark hallway behind them. Every creak and clang made his grip tighten. Flynn worked quickly, pulling out a small electronic tool. Sparks flew as he connected it to the ancient wiring. After a few moments, the door groaned and slid open, revealing a wide chamber bathed in a faint green glow. Cables hung from the ceiling like vines, and a soft hum pulsed through the air. In the center stood a towering cylindrical device, its panels covered in alien script that pulsed with each beep of the beacon. Morrison approached carefully, heart pounding. "This must be the source of the signal," she whispered. "Yes," Flynn agreed, eyes fixed on the glowing text. "It's some kind of power core or data storage. I've never seen technology like this." Captain Drake stepped closer. She noticed a small control console to one side, its surface lit by lines of alien code. "We need answers," she said, her voice echoing in the large chamber. "If this station can help us fight the Dark Surge or save Earth, we have to try." Flynn set his handheld device on the console, attempting to interface with the system. For several tense minutes, he scrolled through strange symbols, sometimes wincing at error messages that appeared. Then his eyes widened in sudden understanding. "Captain," he called softly, "I think I can access basic logs. Stand by." A brief hum filled the air, and a holographic display flickered into existence above the console. It showed a star map unlike anything the humans had seen, with multiple systems labeled in unfamiliar writing. At the center was an icon of a swirling energy wave, similar to the descriptions of the Dark Surge back on Earth. Morrison's mouth went dry. "That's our cosmic threat," she guessed, pointing at the swirling shape. Flynn nodded. "Yes, it matches the radiation patterns we recorded. But look here, This station's logs mentioned something about a weapon or shielding device that was in development. Cole took a step forward, shining a flashlight on the hologram. A weapon against the dark surge. Why would an alien station out here have that? Captain Drake frowned. Maybe they experienced something similar. Or maybe they saw it coming, like our scientists did. Suddenly, the room's lights flickered, and a voice filled the chamber. It was metallic and distorted, but it spoke in halting English. Warning, system at critical levels. Unauthorized access. Identify. Flynn jumped back in surprise, nearly dropping his handheld. It's an I, he realized, his voice quivering. It must have learned some of our language from the data I tried to upload. Captain Drake raised her hand slightly, hoping to appear non-threatening. We're human. We came from Earth, searching for a way to stop a cosmic threat called the Dark Surge. The AI paused, emitting soft static noises. Then the voice continued. This station, built by the Kelsaran race, destroyed by the same cosmic wave. Development of a weapon, incomplete. Fault, resource shortfall, time. Morrison exchanged a look with Drake. They couldn't finish their weapon in time to save themselves. Are there any blueprints or partial data we can use to continue their work? The AI's lights flickered again, as though struggling to remain active. Blueprints, in core memory, system compromised. Survival is possible if completed. Cole gripped his rifle tighter. We need to hurry. The station is falling apart, and our ship can't handle too much more strain. Flynn's fingers flew across the console, copying every bit of data the AI provided. Lines of alien characters scrolled across the handheld screen. It's transferring partial schematics, he said, voice tinged with excitement. But we'll need a proper lab and more power to finish it. Drake glanced at the AI's glowing cylinder. It seemed stable, but the flicker in the lights suggested a fragile system. Can we remove the AI or the core for our ship? Before Flynn could answer, the AI spoke again. Core, immovable. Ship, too small. Must salvage. Partial assembly. Create new device. Hurry. System collapse. Near. As if on cue, alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed around the chamber. A fresh wave of dust fell from the ceiling. The station was failing. Its ancient infrastructure no longer able to sustain itself. Cole spun around. Captain, we can't stay here. The hull could rupture. Drake grabbed the handheld from Flynn, checking the transfer status. It was only 70% complete. She grimaced. We have to get everything we can before this place tears itself apart. Flynn gritted his teeth. I'll do my best. He re-engaged the transfer, sweat trickling down his forehead. Morrison rushed to Cole's side. I can hear something collapsing further down the corridor. We might be trapped if we don't leave soon. The station's AI, its voice crackling with static, repeated, must finish. Blueprint, new device, key to survival. For a few agonizing moments, the progress bar in Flynn's handheld inched upward. 71%, 75%, 80%, 87%. Each point felt like an eternity. The alarms grew louder, and the entire chamber began to shake. Green sparks flew from the ice core, accompanied by popping noises from the overhead cables. Finally, the handheld chimed. 100%. Flynn yanked the cable free. Got it. Captain Drake nodded, her face set with determination. Let's move. They sprinted out of the chamber, dodging fallen beams and bursts of venting gas. The station's corridors groaned around them, metal twisting from structural failures. Beyond the door, they heard distant crashes as entire sections of the station broke away into the void. Somehow, they reached their shuttle. Morrison and Cole checked for injuries while Flynn sealed the hatch. Drake fired up the engines, guiding the shuttle away. As they pulled back, the alien station buckled in on itself. Parts exploded in silent flashes, sending shards of metal tumbling into space. On the HS horizon, Ensign Reed let out a joyful cry when she saw the shuttle return. The docking clamps engaged with a heavy clang, and the crew rushed inside. Flynn, breathless, raised the handheld device high. "We have it," he announced to everyone gathered. The partial blueprint to a device that might stop the dark surge. A ragged cheer rose from the colonists nearby. Even though it was just data, it represented a real chance, something humanity had not felt since the dark surge threatened Earth. Captain Drake looked around at her weary, hopeful crew. She knew the journey was still far from over. They would need resources, time, and luck to finish what the Kelsaran race had started. But now, at least, they had a path forward. Sitting in the pilot's seat of the Horizon's bridge, Drake powered the engines back up. "We keep moving," she declared. "We find what we need to build this device. We save Earth, or we do everything in our power trying." With the blueprint in their grasp, the crew set a new course. Ahead lay endless stars, hidden dangers, and the daunting task of completing an alien weapon that could stand against the dark surge. Yet, for the first time since leaving Earth's burnt ruins, they had more than just desperation. They had a reason to believe that the last hope of humankind might truly become its future.